この世に兄より強え弟なんぞ存在しねえ。
胸に7つの傷。噂では確か北斗神拳とかいう拳法を使う。
お前ら俺の名を言ってみろ。お前ら俺の名を言ってみろ。
2000年の歴史を刻み受け継がれてきた恐るべき暗殺剣があった。その名を北斗神拳。天空に連なる7つの星のもと一子相伝の北斗神拳をめぐって悲劇は繰り返される。
Hello everyone, today we'll be unboxing a statue for this week. Here we have a statue from the manufacturer's Prime1Studio, a statue part of their Hokuto no Ken Premium Masterline, is a 1/4 scale Polystone statue of the character Jagi, bonus version, from the series Hokuto no Ken, or Fist of the North Star. As always, before we take the statue out of its packaging, just in case you didn't know, Hokuto no Ken or Fist of the North Star is a manga released in 1983, serialized in Shueisha's Weekly Shonen Jump by 2 writers, written by Okamura Yoshiyuki or Buronson, and illustration by the mangaka Tetsuo Hara. The series has gotten an anime adaptation that was aired in 1984 by Studios Toei Animation, consisting of 109 episodes, while also having a second season by the name Hokuto no Ken 2, aired in 1987, consisting of 43 episodes by the same Studios Toei Animation. Hokuto no Ken can be considered as one of the most influential mangas of all time, the franchise also having other medias like light novels, specials, OVAs, stage musicals, video games, movies, even a live-action movie. Here we have is Jagi, one of the brothers of the Hokuto Shinken alongside Toki, Raoh, and Kenshiro. A scumbag in the eyes of everyone, but also has a cool and unique design. So as you can see here in the background, this is the box, a little bit too big, so I'm only showing you guys close-up shots because I don't have a rotator that's big enough. And this is the bonus version that comes with an extra head sculpt. So enough holding you guys back, let's just take Jagi out of his packaging and see how it looks. So as you can see here, this is Jagi straight out of his packaging. It's just one large styrofoam, so there's no 2 layers to this, it's just one. As you can see here, you can see Jagi is wrapped with tissue paper, and everything looks in decent condition. So it does come with the bonus head, so yes, you do get those options during displaying the figure. And besides that, there's not really much else to show you besides this one top layer. So let's just remove all of this and see how the figurine looks up close. So just like every other Prime1Studio statue, it does come with an assembly instructions guide. As you can see here, we have a little bit of promo pictures here on the top of it to display our Jagi's swappable parts. As you can see here, we also have a parts list where you do see all the little, swappable pieces you do get, and also a little reference sheet here at the bottom where you can see how it looked inside of its packaging. And it does have a little bit of a warning to be careful with the little sharp edges of Jagi's spikes, which, yes, it actually is quite sharp, so do be careful. Here on the back, we do get is the assembly instructions guide, the full list of step 1 all the way to the last. As you can see here, don't worry, we will be going through this throughout the video, so you can just follow along while I assemble it together. As you can see here, it does come with the bonus head sculpt. So I don't know if this sheet looks exactly the same as the regular one. But besides that, you can pause the video and you can kind of see each of the pictures if you need to, but not really much else to show you. We'll just move on to the actual statue. But as I said, you can pause the video and wherever you want, and you maybe get a closer look of the sheet here. So this is probably going to be the only time you see this, because this is the bottom of the base. As you can see here, it does say Jagi Premium Masterline bonus version. You do get the edition size, which I am covering for reasons, and we also get is the other information of the figurines, such as the manga cut and other stuff. So here is the main statue. This is the base that it does come with, and you can see here, I really do like the little references they give you, such as this sculpt of Jagi, and also like almost like a stone sculpt of his motorcycle, which obviously you can see it's all sculpted into the rock in the background. You can see the big tire, and like I said before, we can see here is the sculpt of Jagi. You know, just like when he had the sculpt where everyone thought he was Kenshiro. And you can see it does have cracked spikes compared to the actual spikes that he has, which is a really nice reference, and I really do like the paint they did around it. It actually captures the rock formation really well, because you know, it's like a post-apocalyptic world, so it's something to be expected to be rubble all over the place. So this is quite a nice reference piece. But you know, I mean, I'm not gonna get too much into it. You know how I think about, you know, rocky sculpted bases. Here we have is also another motor piece from his motorcycle, which is a really nice really nice callback to the character. You can see here we do add is a hole here on the top where you do place his leg, and also the top rest area where you place his other leg on top of. Just be careful when you are placing it, because usually when it comes to these type of figures, they tend to rub against their feet tend to rub against the base. So when you do insert it, be careful when you are connecting it together. And yeah, I think they did a pretty nice job with the shading and all that. As I said before, this is the front of the base. So here is the back of the base, and there's not really much to it. We do get a little bit of texture work here of almost like a, you know, where they used to train in the dojo. You get like a similar vibe to some of the sculpt work here at the back. There's also a hole at the back where you do connect a little extra piece that it comes with, which is, I think, is the motorcycle's pipe. You'll see when we get to that part. We can see more of the tire, and as I stated before, we get is a little bit of almost like sculpture of, like, you know, when you see during like a temple or a dojo building, you see like those design textures. Here we have is these metal beams that are actually a little bit flexible, but I do caution to be careful with that, because I feel like you can actually snap that. So let's just move on to Jagi's body. So here we have is Jagi's main body. As you can see here, starting from his shoe area, I think, again, Prime1Studio tends to make a really great sculpt and also a really great, amazing paint work on these statues. As you can see here, the metal, the metallic on it feels super realistic, and it looks really well painted. Also the pants here, as you can see here, they gave it a little bit of texture work that makes it seem like real pants, or jeans I should say, which is really great. This hole here is where you place his holster for his gun. And as you can see here, we have his belt here with the skull. We got his crotch guard here on the front. amazing paint where you kind of see the texture here of the gold. It's kind of shiny, but not too shiny. And you can see here the spikes on his other leg, which again, it's really great. It feels like real metal. Don't quote me, I don't know if it is. It doesn't feel like it, but it's actually really well painted. You have his boot here, which does capture the texture work of leather, which is really great. As you can see, the crease lines as well. It's just really great. I really love the way Prime 1 paints its statues, because you assume that it's like, here's the back side here of his side of his, you can see his leather jacket. Again, looks really well sculpted. The little texture work and paint they did on it looks really amazing. We have this little piece. Also do be careful with this little section, because I feel like you can accidentally flick that and break his jacket, so do be careful. Here we have is the underside of his sculpt. We can see his abs. We see he has the scars here, just like he placed on himself to make himself look like Kenshiro. Great texture work and paint on his body area, looks really great. We have his texture work here on his neck, where you can kind of see his veins popping out, which look really great. Here we have his hand sculpt, which is actually blended, or they're actually really close to each other. I'll show you when we get to the different angles, but here's the top of it, where you do place his head. We have these spikes, which again, do be careful because these are quite sharp. I did poke myself when holding this with my gloves, so imagine having no gloves. This could probably cut you, so do be careful when you are handling this piece if you get your hands on this. Here we have is his hand, which I'll get to when we get to the hand part, but here we have is his other, hand guard here. Here's another angle from the back side of the statue. You can see more texture work with more belts on his what do you call that, knee guards, shin guards by his feet. Here we have is the back side of his belt. We see a little bit of a pocket. Again, I think Prime1Studio did a really amazing job here, especially with the paint and the texture work around the statue. Looks really great. I mean, the paint here at the bottom of his shoe is a little bit not good, but it's not really an area you're going to be always staring at. I think the main focus is on the top, which is really great. Here's the back side. You can see they did a pretty decent paint sculpt here. Or I should say a sculpt, and the paint's also pretty decent. The back here I really do like, because you can kind of see right here by the texture they did add the little crumbles of leather, because if you don't know, leather tends to crumble. So the fact that they added this is actually pretty great. It gives it more realistic vibes when you look at his leather jacket. Here we have his veiny arm. As I stated before, you can see here his hands actually blended together in this section, so you don't really notice that until you actually look it from the top area, but his skin is actually connected to his arm guard there, which is not really noticeable, but I feel like they could have maybe had a little spacing between. And here we have his top spike from the back view, and we have his right arm extended outwards from the back side. So besides that, not really much else to show you with the body, but I think they did a really great texture work, paint job and everything, making the statue actually look quite realistic, which is really cool. So let's just move on to the next piece of the statue. So here we have this little piece, which I know it looks like a random pipe, but is actually supposed to be a reference to his motorcycle that he's on. If you've seen it, he has like a large exhaust pipe, which this is supposed to be representing, but it's colored in the same texture work as you see in the base to make it seem like it's, like part of the base. And it does go to the little hole here on the side, so do be careful because the top does go real close to the base, so you don't want to accidentally snap it. So here we have his gun holster, which again, nice texture work, not at the back side, but the front side here looks really great. As you can see, it does have a look of crumbling leather, which is really a pretty nice touch, and I do really like the way this looks. It does not, you can't put the gun in it, it's just the holster for show. It stops midway now, it doesn't go all the way deep. And also, when you do connect this to the statue, do be careful because it has a little bit of a strong magnet. You don't want to accidentally snap the top piece of it. So again, when you do connect this, be careful with it and gently place on it, but just make sure you hold on to it tight, that it doesn't snap off away from you. So here is one of the hand sculpts you do get. As you can see, here is almost a closed fist position, which honestly I feel like they could have, instead of giving us this option hand, they should have gave us like a arm which gets closer to the jacket, so it's like holding his jacket. You know when Jagi opens his chest and says "say my name" to hold out his scars? I feel like this hand sculpt would have been better if it was an arm sculpt, where it gives you the option of having both arms by his jacket. But I mean, this fist is also pretty decently painted, as you can see here. Nice texture work, and I think decent paint job on the fingers. So here is the second hand sculpt you do get. It's like an open palm, which this one I do like. You can see here the texture work of leather on his glove looks really great, and also the paint work on his fingers looks really great. It's quite detailed, like as I stated before, it's quite realistic, and I really do like this hand sculpt because it kind of goes really good with his alternative bonus head, or his bone sculpt. I think this is like a nice hand sculpt to have. Like he's, you know, telling Kenshiro, why did he mess me up, you know? But it's a nice hand sculpt. The paint job here of his nails and everything look really great. Again, do be careful with this, because this is like one of those sculpts that you want to like not drop, because if you drop this, I'm 100% certain the fingers will break. So when you are connecting this, try to connect it with two hands, not like I'm holding here with one. But let's just connect this piece to the arm. And here we have is the best sculpt hand option you do get is Jagi holding his shotgun, or is it a double barrel? But as you can see here, it's not actually like, you can't take the hand off of it. It's sculpted with the gun. So as you can see here, great texture work here on the glove, just like every other hand sculpt that we showed before. They painted the fingernails and everything quite well. It looks quite realistic, and the paint works really amazing. The bottom here of the gun is not the best painted, but as you can see here, the rest of the gun actually looks quite better. Nice texture work and everything. I'm not really that much of a gun head, so I don't know what gun this is, what's the name of this gun, but I know it's like a double barrel, so that's as much of my knowledge on guns. But the texture work here looks really great. I think they did a fantastic job with this, and honestly, this is probably the main hand sculpt I'm gonna have him displayed with. I mean, it's Jagi, so what else are you gonna have? But you can see here from the side, looks really well painted. The top portion here, again, it's quite realistic. It's not metallic, it's just painted that way. But I think it's really great. It has a little bit of scratches on it. As you can see here, again, really great work. So besides this, it's quite long, so it extends quite far from the base. So if you display this, just make sure you don't display it too out and have someone accidentally bump into it. So let's just connect this to the actual arm. So here we have is Jagi's main head sculpt. As you can see here, we do have his Jagi with his helmet on, and honestly this is such a cool design. I know he's a scumbag, but he's pretty cool, has a pretty cool helmet. As you can see here, it's actually, you could kind of see his head at the bottom of it, but because he has his helmet on, it's a little bit harder to tell. You can see his hair sculpted at the bottom of the helmet. And besides that, they did a great paint job here on his helmet by the gold piece and also by the black piece. You can kind of see it almost has damage because, you know, he's driving his motorcycles and rocks and stuff, and when he's in combat, his helmet's gonna get obviously damaged. Here's a top view. Do be careful when you are holding on to this, because the little gold parts of his helmet, or the little front mask, it actually it feels delicate. I feel like if you flick it, you could damage it. So again, do be careful when you are handling this. It kind of feels like Robin Mask's front visor. His helmet, the gold part, feels the same. So again, do be really careful when you are handling these pieces, because you don't want to accidentally flick it and damage it. So let's just connect this to his body. So when you do get the bonus version, you do get this extra head sculpt. As you can see here, Jagi, as ugly as ever, but as you can see here, I think they did a pretty nice job here, especially with his facial expression there. His lips, the creases on his lips and everything, the scars, the little metallic guard he has on his face. The bottom here looks, as you can see here, his hair sculpted. I think it's similar to the one with his helmet. As you can see here, you have his side ear. And you can see his eyes are quite decrepit. You can see a nice job on the eyes here. As I stated before, the scars are quite painted decently. You can see his whole headgear here where it's connected, because, you know, Kenshiro was about to kill him and then he held on to himself, and now he has this to hold his face in place, if you see the series. The wires here do not bend, they are sculpted, so again, do be careful with this part here to not accidentally flick it and break it. But it's actually quite detailed. You can kind of see here, skin looks quite red. It's almost looks like it's pulsating. I think they did a pretty great job here. He does have hair here at the bottom. So you can kind of see here, it's waving, like he combed his hair back, which is nice. You can see a lot of the little hair follicles and texture work here. Looks really great. And I think they did, Prime1Studio tends to do a great job here with the hair sculpt and everything. It looks quite realistic. And I think they did ignore that little fur. But besides that, they did a pretty nice job. His ear on the side and everything. It looks really great. So let's connect this to his body. So these are the two head sculpts side by side. Again, if you want, you can also pause the video and see how the figure, or how both of them look. And looking them side by side, I think they're the exact same facial expression. There's not really much of a difference. I would have liked to see a little bit of a different facial expression for each, but you know, Prime 1, they tend to like go a little bit on the cheap end and tend to have almost the same, but it's still quite unique. As you can see here, both eyes are quite painted decently, and they actually look really well. So again, you can pause the video and see them side by side. And yeah, not really much else to show you. I think this is the last thing of the statue, so I think this is gonna be it for this video. Alright guys, so that was Prime1Studio's Premium Masterline 1/4 scale Polystone statue of the character Jagi bonus version from the series Hokuto no Ken, or Fist of the North Star. All in all, I gotta say, is such a great statue. Honestly, this is gonna look real cool right next to Kenshiro and Raoh. I hope they make a Toki. That's the next one, and we're gonna have the whole line of the brothers of the Hokuto Shinken. But anyways guys, I don't really have much bad to say. Besides the arm, I feel like they could have gave you another arm sculpt where you could switch his arm extended forward to have it more closer to himself, like almost like his left arm. As you can see, he's grabbing onto his jacket. His other arm can also be holding onto the jacket. Not onto it, but maybe like nearby to make it look like he's holding onto it. I think that would have been a better option, but besides that, I don't really have much else bad to say about the statue. Again, a really great paint job, really great, amazing sculpt work. A lot of texture on the jacket with the crumbling leather, and also the texture work on his boots. His body, the veins, and all of that look really great. So that's going to be the end of this one, guys. I don't want to keep, making this video longer, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this video has given you enough information, enough close-up shot, and a lot of information if you wanted to get this statue or if you were interested in the statue. So I'm going to leave you guys off with close-up shots and different angles of the statue at the end of this so you guys can see it, pause it, look closer to it if you need to. And if I did miss anything, comment below and I'll probably make an update or something on my Facebook or on my Instagram. But anyways guys, that's going to be the end of this one. Not much else to say. If you have not seen Hokuto no Ken, highly recommend it. And I did hear there's a new Hokuto no Ken anime coming soon. I'm gonna wait for that preview and see how it looks. But anyways guys, that's gonna be the end of this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Prime1Studio, I'm waiting for Toki. Please don't do raid before Toki.